Welcome back. This is Chicken Philosophy, the Meccan Revelations, part 50. And as you can see, I did it. You didn't think I would, but I did. The green light coming from the curtains. The new green semi-sheer curtains. There's a few colors that have arrived. There's a few more that are on the way. Here we've got pink. Can you see that? A little bit. Let's just go with some natural sunlight today, shall we? All right. So, what are we doing? Doing Meccan Revelation, part 50. 50. That's a big round number, isn't it? It's a good number in some context. Wow, it's nice out today. Today our beverage is a cup of coffee, black coffee, nothing too interesting. And our incense, I discovered, actually before we do the incense, I discovered, there's so many things I discovered since I got these reading glasses, because gradually over the course of, I don't know, a couple of years, I was able less and less to see what's right in front of me. I mean, I could see things once they're a few feet away, but things in front of me, it started to get more and more, that's nice. More and more uncomfortable to read, and I don't know, for, basic ego reasons. I remember when I was like 9 years old and my dad and I went on a road trip, and he was like, "Your eyes are so good. You can see that? You can read that sign from this distance? Wow, that's amazing. Your eyes are like better than 20/20, all this." And so I was in charge of the map. And so it took a little while for me to accept that I needed at least reading glasses. So, but then once I put them on, I started to discover things, in my immediate sphere. Like, for example, these incenses that I had before, I was like, well, they're all identical, but they're all different colors. No, this is Oud Arabia. This is Oud Damascus. This is Oud Samarkand. This is Oud Barat. We remember that. This is Oud Arabia, which means this is not. This is, I don't know what this is. I have no idea. Can you see this second word there? I have no idea what that is. I was allowing my abstract vision to make that Arabia, but this is clearly Oud Arabia. And then Oud Bukhana. I feel like somebody recommended that in the comments, but for some reason, it's empty. So the next time I'm down at Newton, which isn't far from here, but next time we're down there, I'll pick up some more Oud Bukhana, and then I can remember what that smelled like. I don't know why it's missing. It might have been something that happened in the move. So maybe it'll turn up at some random point. Let's go with Oud Samarkand. That's this yellow one. All right, cool. And hopefully Editor Edward's on top of it with the music. And so it'll be good. We've got a good episode coming up. We had a boring Zen Buddhism yesterday on Buddhist Books Podcast. Some of them are boring. It was short though, so at least it wasn't long and boring. It was short and boring. In other words, it was the chapter about the rules for how monks should conduct themselves in the meditation hall, which is like, okay, don't sneeze loudly, don't get in fights. I mean, there's like other chapters of Shobogenzo where he gets really deep into some of the teachings and stuff. So yesterday was sort of the equivalent of the Vinaya Pitaka, the first basket of the tea Pitaka, where it's all about the rules, except the Vinaya Pitaka is 6 volumes that we've been reading for years, where the rules for the hall was a 20-minute read, and I think we're done. And peeking ahead, I try not to, but actually Shobogenzo I've read before. Normally when I read things on Buddhist books or on chicken philosophy, it's things I haven't read before, with some exceptions. There's a few things that I feel like I want to reread, or I feel like I should share. Shobogenzo is one of them. Shobogenzo I reread once every, I don't know how long. I first read it in 2011. I read it again in 2019. So between 8 and 6 years, I reread it. All right. So the incense is done. The coffee's done. So next we do our. By the way, this was a gift. There was a certain Malaysian climber, trekker, a person who treks, a person who likes to go up mountains and stuff, and he. I've told you this story before, but basically he was praying in the middle of the night, and we met, and then we went and saw the sunrise. I know it sounds very romantic. We were with a group of people, and there's like a sunrise point. One of the 3 things there are to do in Pokhara, Nepal, is to go to sunrise point. So we were we all got in this cab and went up there. And anyway, he was talking about, in Malaysia, many of us, you see, I am Muslim. I'm like, yeah, I figured from the prayers you were doing at 5 a.m., basically something like that. And then I said, well, I'm a big fan of the Sufis. And he was like, you know about the Sufis? And I said, the great religions of the world are sinking ships. The poets are the lifeboats. That is good for business, isn't it, Hafiz? Which is a direct, at least almost direct quote from the gift. And he was wearing this at the time, and he took it off and gave it to me. And so I didn't go and buy this to make it my costume for anything. It's a little small for me, but if you're wondering. All right, so let's do the Hafiz Bibliomancy. He's a 14th century Sufi poet. Here we go. Find a better job. That's the title of the poem. Now that all your worry has proved such an unlucrative business, why not find a better job? Oingo boingo.
Don't worry too much. You make yourself sad. You can't change fate, but don't feel so bad. Enjoy it while you can. It's just like the weather. So quit complaining, brother. No one lives forever.
All right. Well, similar theme. Similar. Yeah, you're saying you worry too much. That's the lyric that reminded me of No One Lives Forever. Not exactly the same, and I don't know if I'll even be allowed to play that on YouTube, but we shall see. Okay, now what is this? All right. Now we will get to the reading for today from the Meccan Revelations. Okay, so this first part is in italics mostly, so it's Michel Chodkowitz and friends. It's called Worship and Its Secrets. Just for shits and giggles, Editor Edward, could you give us like a dictionary definition of worship?
I'll get to that in just a moment, but first I wanted to let you know that later on in your timeline, so there's a little bit of a spoiler, BT, you do in fact find the incense that goes in here, the Oud Bakana, and it smells lovely. I am currently burning it, and so there you have it. And apparently it's been popular among me because it's more than half empty. Also, the color scheme, very reminiscent of Our Lady of Fatima, and this fingernail clipper. All right, worship.
We worship you, O'Brien.
The feeling or expression of reverence and adoration for a deity. Notice that's feeling or expression. So if you feel a sense of reverence and adoration for a deity, you're worshiping them. And breaking the first commandment, if you're Abrahamic. If you're nasty. The British also have another way that they use it for a high-ranking person. His Worship the Mayor. Oh, gotta love the British. So, interesting note is it comes from the Old English weorth skipe, which is the root word of worship and worth, as in, is it worth it? Is it worship? Worth it? Worth and worship. So that's interesting. So yeah, it has a very poignant and specific definition in the present day connotation of modern English, that it's a religious thing and that it's bowing down or whatever. But yeah, it's related to worth, to show worthiness, acknowledgement of someone's worth. So if you say, wow, you're really worth your weight in salt there, buddy, then technically you're worshiping them. I mean, if by technically you mean playing around with root words.
Thank you, Editor Edward. In my mind, without looking it up, there's at least 3 very distinct, separate ways that the word worship is used. But it's mostly for my groupthink. In other words, people who grow up in a former British colony. It's either something you're not supposed to do unless it's Jesus, or the Father or the Son or the Holy Spirit. Who worships the Holy Spirit? Come on, somebody's got to worship the Holy Spirit. Or it's something you're not supposed to do because it's forbidden. Or, on the other hand, it's something that you're not supposed to do because it's religion, because it's superstitious, hocus pocus. So coming from a groupthink where the word worship either means backwards savage, I'm saying that that's what the groupthink thinks, not saying that's what I think. Oh, they're worshiping that, or it's I shall go to church and worship. Oh, really? Would you like to worship this pagan god? So that's a very specific definition. I think over here, it's in India. It's different, similar, but different. I mean, not similar. It's very different, but there is some overlap. All right, Editor Edward hopefully was helpful with that. Anyway, worship and its secrets. I'm sure Ibn Arabi has a third definition. We'll see. Oh, there's a lot of bowing over there. This chapter, entitled, quote, On the State of the Pole, whose way station is, quote within quotes, I have not created jinn and mankind except to worship me, end quote within quotes, end quote. Quran 51:56. God the narcissistic puppet maker. What can you do? Yeah, so we're going to do a deep dive into that phrase that I've gone on record as saying that I'm not a big fan of. All right, it's fine. Okay, cool. Let's find out what all the hubbub is about. God made us to worship Him because, really? I mean, there's got to be more to that than it sounds. Maybe it's my ear hearing the definition that I alluded to earlier, like what that word means to me on a deep level. In other words, what it as a child and whatnot. Okay, is one in a series of more than 90 in the 6th section of the Futuhat that discuss the stations of the various kinds of Muhammadan poles. I haven't been to that part of Poland. No. and the connection of each pole to a different sacred formula or Quranic verse, which is his, quote, constant invocation, end quote. See, invocation, I'm fine with. Worship, I'm like, okay, Grandma, have fun. Invocation, I'm like, yes, at the ending of the night, at the limits of the light, right? Well, let's see. Let's be open to having our definitions updated and falling a little further out of harmony and out of phase with anything that could be called a groupthink, and further isolate ourselves in a hermit-like cave of whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. It is It is commonly thought that the Sufis speak of a single pole. I've heard that rumor. Guys hanging out up in the mountains, dancing, wearing yellow. Around whom, speaking of which, this is a yellow and green episode, isn't it? Oh yeah. I would invite you to, learn all about yellow and green by looking in the description and clicking the yellow and green option. It's the last of the 15 options there in the description. You click the timestamp and you get to me talking about yellow and green. I recommend that. And it's fun. And then you'll get the reference I just made. It was sort of a joke, sort of a reference, but it'll make full sense. Yes, there are Sufis that wear yellow once a year. Sort of like the John the Baptist thing where the priest wears pink. For those who know. Those who don't know. What are we talking about here? Yeah, anyway, click this. It's the 15 color wheel, and click the 15th one, the yellow and green. Bye! Or do it at the end. We'll make that the end screen. All right. What? The pole. Yes. It is commonly thought that the Sufis speak of a single pole around whom all the affairs of the universe revolve, and without whom the universe would cease to exist. All right. Though Ibn Arabi discusses this supreme pole in many passages, he also points out that there are numerous other poles, each one of which is the axis or central figure in a particular group of people or in a spiritual station or state. As for the Muhammadan poles, they are, quote, those people who have inherited from Muhammad some of the religious laws, or shari'i, and spiritual states, abwal, that pertain exclusively to him, and which were not found in any religion that preceded him. Oh, this should be good. The parts of Islam that aren't just a rip-off of Christianity and Judaism. I'm here for it. I'm here to learn. Sorry. Nor any messenger that came before him. If that which is inherited is something which was in a religion that came before him, that's one way to put it, and is also in his religion, or was in a messenger before him and is also in him.
That stapler.
Blessed be he. May the stapler be removed in all our minds from. And then the inheritor inherits from that specific messenger, but through Muhammad. So he is related to that messenger, even though he is a member of this community. Hence, he is called Musawi. I'm sorry. If he has inherited from Moses. Oh. Isawi. if from Jesus, or Ibrahimi, if from Abraham, end quote. That's like an other category that we don't hear about too much. When you talk about Abrahamic religions, very rarely will someone say Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and the rest. what the rest of what? They all got wiped out by the Christians and the Muslims. No. Yeah, well, mostly. I mean, maybe if you're looking at history, you can be like, well, okay, so these people were worshiping Asherah. All right, what? And there's reference to, like, oh, the Baal worshippers. Let's invoke our gods and see whose is bigger, like that. We've all read the Bible, right? Or, never mind. Worship mentioned in Quranic. Where are we? What happened? What were we reading something? Ibn Arabi explains that in this series of chapters, he does not mean by, quote, Muhammadan Poles, end quote, that type of Pole of whom there is only one in every period. All right. Quote, I will only mention among the Muhammadan Poles everyone around whom revolve the affairs of a group of people in a specific clime or aspect, like the substitutes in the 7 climes. That's that thing like in Monty Python, the swallow and climes, like climates. It's like or like the poles of the towns, since each town must have a saint of God, through which God preserves it, whether it is a believing or unbelieving town. Oh, all right. The same thing goes for the possessors of stations. Hence the ascetics must have a pole around whom asceticism revolves in the people of his time, and so on with trust, love, knowledge, and the rest of the stations and states. It's an interesting idea. So you have to have kind of like a hero or an icon, like a person who represents the path of a group of people. It makes sense if it's going to be a group of people. And so if you become more actualized and realized within yourself, then you don't really, quote, fit into any group, end quote, as much as you did anymore. Though there are various ways to be compatible with groups, or you could just choose not to be. All right, anyway. Each of these Muhammadan poles has a hajir, or, quote, constant invocation, end quote, specific to himself. Quote, know that the hajir is the invocation to which the servant clings, whatever that invocation may be. Each invocation produces a result produced by no other invocation. But when man presents the divine invocations to his own soul, it only receives from them that which his preparedness allows. Right? Okay. Unless you do like really fast, deep breathing, which I don't recommend. It's probably not a good idea, but we used to do this thing where everybody would be, and some of us would be like, breathe, breathe. And I was so happy to finally reach the point where I was one of the ones in the white robe going around going, breathe, breathe. And the room full of sweaty black robe people, going, and then we invoke Thoth. The reason I bring it up is because then you can break down the barrier of what people are ready for, if that makes sense. So they get sometimes more than what they would have gotten had they not been forcibly breaking down barriers in their minds. It's sort of like, I don't know, some kind of pranayama on crack. I think there's various groups that do various groups. What am I saying? It's me talking to myself, and I'm saying groups. Yeah, there's various cults. No, there's various groups that do that kind of like thing. I mean, in a way, like chanting itself is something that, like, legitimately, I don't know, there's a combination of things happening there. Because if there's a little bit of mystery, if there's a little mustard seed, of mystery that you can use to say, okay, what's the thing that you find most mysterious? And it's like the Mandela effect. Oh, really? Well, why is that? Because Berenstain Bears? No, it was Berenstain Bears. Okay, hold on to that. Hold on to that mystery. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to invoke the mystery of the Berenstain Bears by repeating in song Berenstain Bears again and again and again all day. Berenstain Bears, Berenstain Bears, Berenstain. Like eventually you'll be like in a kind of whoa, kind of thing where the combination of the oxygen and the reverence for the mystery, if that's maybe synonymous or there's some overlap between that and worship and invocation or whatever. I just don't think it'd work if you said, okay, we're going to pick a word. Well, what word? I don't know. What's the first word that comes to your mind? Stapler. Okay, well, we're going to say stapler. You might have some effect, but I think there's something to be said for that little kernel of mystery that adds a certain something to the experience of the over-oxygenation or whatever it is, or the never mind. I'll just keep reading. No, it's nothing there really. Specific to himself, the Hajir cleans, yes. Preparedness that comes from his own soul allows, right. The first opening, which one's first? It depends on where you start counting. The first opening he is given in the invocation is his reception of it. Right. The red socks are the first magical tool, right? No. Then he never, yes, but not in this context. Then he never ceases applying himself to it with each breath. Okay. No breath leaves him in wakefulness or sleep except in invocation. This sounds mighty, let's say, Eastern. Right. Because of his devotion to it, as long as the invoker's state is not like this, he is not the owner of a Hajir. End quote. Right. An invocation is not a true Hajir until the invoker has been given full, quote, opening, end quote. We've all wandered onto those parts of the internet. If you haven't, consider yourself blessed. Oh, God, it gets pretty gnarly. Sorry. Right, until the invoker has been given full opening. This term, whose meaning is basically the same as futuh, F-U-T-U-H, with a little hat, a little triangle hat, little arrow on top of the second U, of which futuhat is the plural. Oh! So this is futuhat. Meccan Revelations is an English translation of the futuhat. And so revelations, openings, that has a very different connotation than revelations. If I say revelations, you think, oh, you're going to talk about the end of the world? That makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about blowing trumpets and Whores of Babylon. And I'm quoting this script. I would never use that word to describe a sex worker. Blessed be they. But yeah, you say openings, and you go, oh, tell me more about these openings. Right? Yeah, of course. See, that's a good thing about doing this alone is I can just agree with myself and move on, No. Okay, so Futuhat is openings. Or revelations. I can understand why they didn't call it openings.
Well, here's to my big opening.
Thank you, Elvira. All right, this term, whose meaning is basically the same as futu, signifies that God has unveiled the inward content of the Hajir to the adept. In some places, Ibn Arabi identifies opening with the shining of the divine lights into the heart. Hence he writes, quote, "The Hijir yields no profit if its owner has not been given opening. If you see the possessor of a Hijir who does not have opening, you should know that his outward tongue does not harmonize with his inward tongue." Someone like that is not whom we mean by possessor of Hajirs. End quote, within quotes, end quote. All right. The inward tongue, the outward tongue, and the inward tongue. Well, one of my tongues is about to have some coffee. 1 second. All right. The Hajir of the greatest poles is the name Allah. Allah, dilimde Allah, zikrimde Allah, fikrimde Allah, aklımda Allah, aşkımda Allah. I think I pronounced that a little weird, so it's a good thing that the guys came in and pronounced it again, just so. Which explains why the supreme pole forever pertains to this name and is called, quote, Abd Allah. Allah, dilimde Allah, zikrimde Allah, fikrimde Allah. End quote. This also explains why, quote, the perfect man is the absolute vassal of the name Allah. Allah. While God is the absolute divinity. End quote. But as for the other poles, their Hajirs are of a great variety. Quote, the poles of the towns, the aspects, and the climbs, and the shaykhs of different groups have many different kinds of Hajir. End quote. In discussing the Hajirs of the various kinds of poles, Ibn Arabi begins with the well-known formulae that are used in prayer and invocation, i.e., quote, there is no God but God, end quote. I think that one is usually translated into our English Western vernaculars, there is no God but Allah. I think because they want to emphasize that they think that Allah isn't the same as God, right? Or that it's the Muslim version, or that it's the Muslim God, or whatever, So yeah, but no, there is no God but God. Right? Same. There is no Allah but Allah. Same thing. All right, sorry. Glory, God is great. Allah Akbar, right? Glory be to God, and praise belongs to God. And then passes on to various Quranic verses, most of which, even without his commentary, have obvious applications to the spiritual life. If it is true that the Futuhat is basically one great commentary on the Quran, this is nowhere more apparent than in this 6th section of the work. The thrust of the present chapter is to demonstrate the oneness of being. This is still not even, we haven't even read anything by Ibn Arabi today, except occasionally Michel Jokowitz quotes Ibn Arabi. So, we'll see. The thrust of the present chapter, thrusting and opening, and what's going on here? What are we reading? is to demonstrate the oneness of being and the interrelationship of all things, as this is expressed in the, quote, worship, end quote, or ibadah, mentioned in the Quranic verse, which is the hajir of the particular pole in question. The duality perceived in existence between creator and creature. Oh, I like that. Usually they say creator and creation, but creator and creature. Cool. Is that creature means created or creature? Creator, creature? I never thought about it, but maybe these things are related. I'm not going to ask Editor Edward. I'm going to let it remain a mystery so that we can, if we believe in nothing, now we can wonder about creator and creature. Creator, creature, creator, creature. Do that for 6 hours and you'll feel something. Guaranteed. Especially if you do it very loudly, taking deep breaths. The difference in existence between what? The duality perceived. Let's bring up the spectrum. The duality perceived. Oh, this is Michel Chodkowitz. Okay, so in the existence between creator and creature is demanded by the nature of reality. Well, just say no to reality. That's what I'd say. Each side has need of the other, though this does not impinge on the absolute independence of the essence. The need, love, and poverty displayed by all creatures toward all sorts of other creatures is in fact their need for God, who manifests himself within the things of the world, which are his loci of manifestation. Checkmate. So if you feel a void, a God-shaped hole within, just grab a stapler, shove it in the God-shaped hole. God is in the stapler. The end. Problem solved. All right. You're welcome. All created things worship him by their very nature, as we saw in chapter 372. Oh yeah, good old chapter 372. Quote, he is worshipped in every object of worship, end quote. What's with the qualifier? Why not just he is worshipped in every object? Sorry. And in the last analysis, God's bestowal of existence upon the creatures is the manifestation of his need for them and worship of them. God worships you, man. I mean man in the Cheech and Chong sense, not in the gender. You know what I mean. God worships you, man. Do you ever think about that? What if God didn't go to church? Then nobody'd be worshiping you. Never mind. Just as... this is Ibn Arabi now. Oh, we just are suddenly jumping into the translation. Okay. Let's read a bit of the translation. Gotta get my Ibn Arabi voice on. One sec. Okay. Just as he who loves you gave you your creation, so also you should give him that for which you were created. Pygmalion. Is that the name? That's the name of the sculptor, isn't it? Never mind. I was too young to pay attention when my sister was in My Fair Lady, which is based on Pygmalion. And so somebody explained it to me afterward, and I was like, oh, all right. But I think I wasn't like even hormonally at a stage where I would understand why someone would make a statue of a lady and then fall in love with it. Something about AI girlfriends or whatever. Anyway, just as he who If you do not give it, yet creation will be given, and he will not have been shown gratitude. You were created for a purpose. Come on. I'm totally. I hope I'm not stimulating anybody's traumas. Forgive me. But it is best to fulfill God's right, my friend. This is a revelation he has given you. If you attain God's wish as he desires, he will make you attain your wish. God, I want world peace. Okay, go ahead and do it. That's how you solve all the world's problems, right there. Got the formula. Now let's get to it. Let's get busy. Sorry, never mind. Let's just... God said, the thing is, like, you ask for world peace, and then, okay, world peace, all right, but those people are hungry, and these people have all the goods. Oh, yeah, oh, shit, now there's a war. But we asked for world peace. Well, yeah, but that was yesterday, and then a new, so this is, one flows out from the other. Okay, God, could you fix the inequality of the resources distributed among mankind? Okay, go ahead and do it. All right, problem solved. But these people they're selfish. You gave them freedom, so those people are taking from those people, and they say, but they're weaker, and survival of the fittest, right? Lord, could you get rid of Darwin's thing, please? Okay, do it. It's just it's a cycle. You can see where it ends up being a cycle. So better to just tune in, turn on, and drop out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm making reference to a thing from the 60s. You ever wonder when you're like, why does the world being round turn him on? Was he a pervert? No. Back then, to be turned on had two meanings. One of them was to be like switched on, to be like I guess it's what woke meant 12, 13 years ago, when it actually meant like, well, okay, maybe not exact one-to-one, but like, it's more like, yeah, enlightenment, to be turned on, to be woke. These all have, like, if there's a Vesica Pisces, one of those diagrams with the three circles, and they all have something in common in the middle, right? Yeah, these days it just is sexual. There's no secondary definition. So you hear the "Because" by the Beatles, and you go, "Why does the world being round turn him on?" What? I think they did too many drugs. You're not supposed to get turned on by the shape of the earth. And those poor flat earthers must. Sorry. What the Lord has decreed? I don't know. I think maybe we're done for today. This is a revelation he has given you. If you do what he says, he'll give it to you. What the Lord has decreed that you shall not worship any but him. All right. I think we made it fun today. God has created us for no other reason than that we should worship him. That's like bleak. That's like very like bleak. I mean, unless you change the definition of worship, change the definition of God, change the definition of us, and change the definition of a lot of things. If you fuck with the definitions, then you can make pretty much anything into something. That's inspiring and open-ended, and like, you have a purpose. I do. Yes, I can get to go find out what it is. No, I'll tell you, it's to worship God. The guy who made you. God, you got made, and the guy who made you wants you to worship him. Oh, what does that mean? Bow and say, "You're great." That's it? Yeah. For how long? Till you're dead. Just keep doing that, and then, that's it. You're done. But this says that he'll grant your wishes if you do it. Oh, that's a give and take. Oh, okay, I'll worship you. You give me stuff. Oh. Whatever. I don't know. it is what it is. Maybe you got something out of it today, maybe more than I did. But, you know, we're here to read stuff. Sorry if I was a little more irreverent. I know it's you're not supposed to be irreverent when it comes to people's religions. Whatever groupthink says today. So, no, I enjoyed it. The incense was good. The reading was fun. Next time we'll be back to black books, and that'll be nice. Edward reading black books as it was in the beginning. And as for me, today is Sunday, which means I'm not on my diet today, which means I can have pato bhaji and those yellow buns. Anybody know what I'm talking about? It's my favorite breakfast on Sunday. Okay. Until next time, be sure to click the end screen and then open the description and click yellow and green.